Hey, this is Beau from BEAU'D Not Broken, and it is Friday. It's BEAU'D Friday. He's got his Nike on. I've got my Batman on. Thanks to everybody out there that throws out their pictures or talks about what they're doing during BEAU'D Friday. And you can go to the website, beaudnotbroken.com, and you can see what BEAU'D Friday is all about. I also post it on all the different social media sites. It's if you haven't seen it before, we're all superheroes. We're all superheroes. And so on Friday, you can either wear it underneath your clothing, if you have to go to work somewhere, if you wear a uniform, whatever, you're a businessman, you can wear it underneath, or if you, like me, if you get to do what I get to do, you can wear it outwardly and show off your superhero, and that's what it's all about. For everybody that is not from Utah that's coming on here, this is Periscope. We're coming to you from Salt Lake County in Utah in the United States of America. Hoorah. This is the BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Bend, and we have guests on, regular people on, and they talk about adversity. They talk about how faith and courage and endurance, a few points of BEAU'D Not Broken, and they talk about how they've gotten through that, how they can help other people. My questioning usually is around how can we help somebody, but it's people helping people and people telling people about their experiences and them understanding that they're not alone. We were talking a little bit earlier about how a lot of people feel like they're alone when they're going through all these challenges, or they're the only person in the world that's going through them. Believe me, we should not be looking at highlight reels of anybody's life, because that's not what you're gonna get the wrong picture if you do that. Not to say that life isn't hard and you're not gonna have adversities, but there's a way to get through it. There's a way we can all help each other get through those things, and that's what this show is all about. There have been some comments about what's the agenda on this show. The agenda is people helping people. Again, talking about certain situations, challenges in life that people go through, and how those people can express. It's almost like therapy, talking about it, and then people that are listening or watching might be able to use that person that comes on as a resource. Talk to them about what they've gone through at a later date, or just rewatch the show as it goes on. So, with all of that, probably 3 minutes worth, that's what we're here. That's why we're here. This show's called All About the Bend. We're here Monday through Friday, every day. And each time I have somebody on, it's just fun. It's really neat to listen to people's stories and different parts. We don't obviously have a lot of time, so we focus in on a few things, and that's what we do every day here. Without further ado, I always say that, it's kind of like a fancy thing, but further ado, John, thanks for being here.
Hey, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. You were one of the ones that answered my call. I always have some rescheduling or whatever it might be, and you were nice enough to do that, and I appreciate it. And tell everybody a little bit about yourself, a couple of situations, challenges in life. Tell us where you're from, what you want to tell us.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here, and I'm originally from Utah. I was born here, and at a very young age, my parents moved me to California, so I grew up in Santa Cruz, California.
Love Santa Cruz.
Spent 30 years there, and then I relocated back to Utah. Just some circumstances landed me here, and here I am. So one of the things that I've been able to overcome in life is I am an addict. I drank, I did drugs, I've done everything out there you can name. I've had 3 DUIs from the time I was 18 until 22. I spent over a year in jail because of those choices, and I lost my wife at the time, lost my family, being my wife and son. That was hard. That was a very hard place to be.
Anything at your early age, kind of not made you go that way, or what was it that really the pure addiction of getting high or doing whatever? Was it that the or escaping something?
Yeah, I think we all like are kind of naive when we're young. We don't know why we're doing that. We're doing it because we're having fun, or it's cool. Hey, let's go drink. Or hey, let's go party when you're in junior high or high school or whatever. You do. But obviously, looking back at that, I was escaping. Definitely, and the addiction runs strong in my family. So I was around the alcohol, I was around the drugs my whole childhood.
And you grew up in Santa Cruz.
Yep.
Which, for everybody, I'm originally from California and went to Santa Cruz. I was from Southern California, beach boy, surf boy. But if you move to Northern California, you know exactly what kind of culture that Santa Cruz brings.
Definitely.
It brings a lot of that weed and a lot of that all those other things, that psychotropic, delic, whatever.
Yes.
When was the first time, I get not to delve too deep, but when was the first time that you experienced drugs, and what was that situation? Junior high.
Yeah.
So as young as 11,
13.
12, 13.
Yeah. Smoking, drinking.
Smoking and drinking.
Yep.
Friends? Was it a kind of a friends?
Well, my mom, she was with a guy at the time. He owned a bar, so we had alcohol throughout the house, so it was easy to steal some, take some, and them not notice. Right. And take it to school and be the cool kid,
Any experiences at an early age where you knew it was wrong and maybe got caught at something, but just kept going? Or was it just pretty much, you were unabridged for quite a while until maybe your first arrest and all
I don't
that
know.
kind of
I
stuff?
mean, just in high school, obviously, I chose to party instead of go to class, and so, that was just something that I chose to do, and, I regret some of those choices, and, I look back at it, and wish I had someone in my life to give me some kind of direction, and make better choices, and I didn't have that person in my life.
So mom and stepdad, or mom, they were not very present, or you weren't very present.
They weren't very present. I mean, I think it was mutual. They were working. Latchkey kind of lifestyle. As far as growing up. Right. So how that goes. They're not around to watch you, so you do as you please, pretty much. Right.
Take us to your first jolt of reality. Was that when you were first arrested, or maybe that first time when you go, you know what, I really need it? And it may not be the first, the staying power of stopping at the time, but it's the first jolt to.
I really was unfazed. I was such an addict that I was unfazed by the first 2 arrests of being DUIs. Right. And being arrested also for drugs a couple times. It wasn't until probably the 3rd DUI, that was my wake-up call, things are getting more serious. I had a family, wife and young child at the time. Well, actually, she was pregnant at the time, and the judge gave me a year in jail. And that was
And you spent a year in jail?
7 months.
7 months. Was that here in California?
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz in California. Yeah. Wow, with all the fun gang members.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
It's definitely
You told me a little bit about your mom, what your mom said about you. What age was that? And tell them if you would, tell them what she said to you.
My mom said to me at an early age, when I was about 22 years old, she said to her friends that I'm either going to be in prison or dead by the time I'm 40.
Wow, so a real faith-based, we can also talk about negative faith. Yeah. and so really, what did you think at the time? Did it devastate you, or did you just kind of, brush it off?
Yeah,
you're bulletproof?
I just kind of brushed it off, young and, kind of just feeling like bulletproof, or whatever you want to call it, naive, don't care. Right. Didn't really faze me. I mean, that big time in, the big stint of being in jail really had effect on me, because, I had an infant son, and I missed, a good portion of his first year of life.
Right.
So
Wow.
I actually got out Christmas Eve that year. So
Christmas Eve.
yeah.
What did that? It must have been a weird. That must have been kind of weird. You're out Christmas Eve and it's a holiday type season and time to celebrate. And probably the only way you knew how to celebrate was
actually I maintained a little bit sobriety for about another 35 days after that.
Wow.
And then, I decided to start where I left off, drinking and having fun.
So not a real cohesive parental unit. Did you have friends that had parents that were, somewhat? Because a lot of times we talk about, and I talk about all the time, is that addicts or people like you come from good parents, but they also come from bad parents too. They come from, we have good parents that go, why is my son or daughter addicted? That's not the thing that we show here. That kind of a thing.
My parents were just doing their own thing. They were working and they were doing their own partying, so.
Right. So you saw that, well, it's part of the example
monkey
of,
see, monkey do.
Exactly.
Right?
So there is something to be said for the example. You hear these radio commercials and TV commercials about talking to your kids. If you're talking to your kids about alcohol, I mean, we're going to talk about your if we can for a minute, how you've parented.
Yeah.
But, how does that unfortunately it relates in a bad way when you have a parent that's not talking to you about abstaining, but they're actually promoting the partying, really.
Right. Well, like most parents probably out there, they're hypocrites.
Right.
Don't do this or don't do that, but they're doing it.
Right.
And when you're young like that, you're going to look at them and go, whatever, I'm going to do it anyway.
Wow. So rock bottom, because we talk about, gaining that faith in yourself and the courage to say, you know what, I'm done with this. When did that happen? What was that?
That was about 18 months after I got out of jail. I came home. The wife had packed up, left with my young son, and divorce papers were served to my door about an hour later.
Wow.
That was rock bottom.
And that relationship never rekindled? It was pretty...
It actually did rekindle.
Kind of rocked you?
It rocked me really hard. I remember really, really hitting bottom for about 30 to 40 days of just sadness, and sense of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And, just wanting to, have what I just lost back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kind of just looked at like all the people in my life. Like my dad died at an early age from drinking. He was 47.
Wow.
I lost one other family member from drinking. So I kind of assessed all the things that I had been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of decided on my birthday of that year, which was June 4th, 1994, was going to be the very last day I ever drank or did drugs.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, it's always you can remember that day and that time and that, that step.
So I partied hard that day.
Oh, did you?
Went out big, and I've been clean and sober ever since.
We'll talk about it in just a minute. We kind of have to do an identification. For those that are coming onto Periscope, we're coming to you from Salt Lake County, Utah, in the United States. This is BEAU'D Not Broken. It's called the Daily Ben Show. We do it Monday through Friday. And the motivation is people helping people through adversities and things like that. That it pertains to everyday life. We have everyday type people here. People that hit rock bottom. People that might still be going through issues that they're going through. But we try and show and help other people that might be watching or may watch later on, whatever it might be. And we focus on faith and courage and endurance. And the faith doesn't necessarily have to be religious or spiritual, but it's really faith in yourself. And once you hit that point where you have the confidence in yourself, and then you can go on with the courage to break out of it. We've had people on with all kinds of different adversities, and then the endurance to continue and to, like in your case, you were talking about that day, that day and that time you partied and you were, you were addicted, alcoholic, drugs, things like that. So was it losing, was it losing the wife and the child, and to say, hey, I need to change my
Yeah,
way.
like I decided that, I wanted to do it for me. I wanted to be that parent for my son that I didn't have when I was growing up. I wanted to be that parent who my son could go, I've never seen my dad do any drugs. I've
Right.
never seen my dad have any kind of drinks, nothing. So he was 2 years old at the time when I got clean and sober. So,
So you did it for you. That's a common theme that we've seen as well. Not to have you stop talking, but a lot of times it's for the kids, and which it is, but you finally figured out you needed to make that change.
right. So, we were separated for about 3 or 4 months while I was getting my act together. And, one thing led to another. She saw how committed I was to it, and we decided to, make the marriage work.
Mm-hmm. So after that, you may have had difficulties in relationships or whatever it might have been, but you from that point on just abstained from pretty much everything then.
Yeah.
That's pretty tremendous. How do you do that? How do you still, not to go, hey, I want to drink, but how do you do that? Even this, through problems, through challenges in life and work and things like that.
It definitely there has been, some adversities, in the 22 years of, being sober. It's definitely, you have those times that, like you question your commitment to the lifestyle, or you question your commitment to being clean and sober, like you have some tough times sometimes, and you get depressed and you feel low, and you just have to, what I do, I have a strong will. And I have, committed to this. And whenever I have that time where I think, oh man, it's having a bad day, I just think about, I've gone this long.
Mm-hmm.
I am not giving this up, and I'm not a religious person, but I will pray to God. And I know God, He has given me the strength to get through it in those tough times, So here I am, I'm proud to say that I'm clean and sober almost 22 years.
Wow. That's, yeah.
And it's tough, and in the business you're in, like a lot of times it comes down to how bad you want something. How bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
You got to want it more than anything.
Right. If you had, how old are your children right now?
My son's 23.
Okay. And then, so what did you tell them as they were, so they basically didn't really know you well during that time. It was the post-addictive era, or at least I guess you're always addicted.
Right.
We have some social workers out there, but how'd you parent? How was it way different than?
I feel like as parenting went, I shared with my kids that I've been through a lot, and I've had a lot of, ups and downs, and, shared with them openly how bad it is to drink, how bad it is to use drugs, and where that ended me up. And, as much as they listened, they had to learn on their own. My son, he still went out there and, made those choices.
Mm-hmm.
And, he got in a little trouble with alcohol, and, he had to learn the hard way. As good as a role model as you can be for your kids,
right.
They're still going to go question it, and try it for themselves.
Right. So you're in that good parent realm where you're a good parent, but they had a little bit of trouble. They went out and experimented themselves.
With him, it's funny because as you were talking earlier, when he decided to get sober, he said, "You know what, Dad? You've been a good role model. It's like those commercials you hear on the TV and the radio."
Wow.
The parent is setting the example, so I want to be, like my dad.
You had somebody to go to.
Right. So, He's been sober for, I think, 4 years now. Yeah, so.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Because there are some more addictions in the family than others. I mean,
Right.
I mean, everyone has an addictive personality to some point of something.
For sure.
You know, mine's peanut butter and, you know, maybe a few other things, but.
Mine would be working out.
yeah, working out. Let's go there. So everything, you know, you're pretty much, that world is there. And I would imagine you've helped people as well. Have you helped other than your children as well?
For sure.
You've helped other people in the addiction arena, I would imagine, over these last 22 or so years, right?
For sure.
Any rewarding type, you know, any other reward other than your child has to be the most rewarding, but
Oh yeah,
you
that's
know,
the biggest reward.
and so probably some tragedies too. Did you have friends that may have succumbed to alcoholism or, you know, drug abuse that ended up dying?
I've had friends who've landed in prison, you know, from the drinking and the drugs. You know, real close friends that I you know, grew up with, and you know, it's sad that, you know, they took it that far, or they made those choices, and maybe I was lucky and I didn't, you know, do some of those things that they ended up doing.
Right.
You know. But, you know, one of the good role models for me right now is, you know, my mom. She's been sober a couple of years longer than myself.
Oh,
so,
wow.
you know, kind of someone that helped me, you know, in that direction as well. So
Did that help with your relationship with her as well?
Oh, for
Did
sure.
that help?
You know,
I mean, all of a sudden now I've really got a mom.
You know, yeah. I mean, our relationship definitely has improved, you know, like since she doesn't drink and use drugs anymore. You know, like I said, she was sober, clean and sober about a year before I chose to.
Right.
So.
You're watching BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Ben show, and we have to kind of identify ourselves because people will come in different times, and they'll come in different times of the video. What I will say to people is, please watch the entire videos. Each one of these videos, there's value in most of it. I try not to prolong the time that we're on, and so there's great nuggets in each one of these little segments that we do, and we usually go about 30 to 40 minutes. So not bear with us, but watch and listen, and you know, if you have any input, please give it. All right, let's move on. So talk to the people about, well, you got the gun show going. You got the gun show, and you're in great shape. What did that change your life? Did you know, working out and, you know, that type of realm, did that kind of help you turn around?
Well, you know, like my plan when I chose to get clean and sober was get it back in the gym. You know, I've always been, you know, fit, or I've always been an athlete, you know, played sports my whole life. And I said, I'm going to trade one unhealthy addiction for one healthy addiction. And I went religiously every single day in the first year of my sobriety, you know, because you're getting those endorphins, you know, getting all those feel-good emotions, you know. There's a trade-off there. Right? And so it's a different world when you think about, look at my results that I'm getting physically versus what I was doing to my body, you know, from the drinking and the drugs. So,
you can get endorphins for walking for 30 to 40 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I always tell people. You get those endorphins will kick in. So how did you find your you know, you're a sheep herder is really what you are. I mean, you talk the walk and you walk the talk, and you know, you're looking great at I shouldn't say your age because you're probably younger than I am, but anyway. Just real quick, he grew up in Santa Cruz, California. I can't, probably one of the most beautiful places in the world. I mean, pine trees and, you know, not very far from, you know, just beautiful destinations, but probably one of the most drug-ridden areas of California,
for sure,
and of the world. I mean, it's really this free-spirited. I know it was left over from the 60s when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s. And so to come out of that culture and to come into this culture is quite interesting.
Definitely.
It's amazing. I just want to make that point. So back to you, though. So Tell everybody what you do and your company and your business and things like that.
I do personal training for a living. You know, I tell people that I'm a fitness teacher. You know, when people meet me, you know, they ask you what you do for occupation. I say I teach fitness.
Right.
And then obviously I, you know, give them more information on that. But, you know, fitness is something that I'm passionate about, and I feel like I've been blessed with this amazing health, and I can go on forever.
Right.
And part of that is being clean and sober, and part of that is, you know, I feel like God has blessed me. I don't have any aches and pains. Zero.
Right.
You know, I don't even feel my age, not even close.
Right.
You know, I participate in endurance races. You know, I'm pretty active outside of the gym too.
Right.
You know.
So it's all around fitness. It's not just muscle head in the gym.
You know, Tough Mudder, Spartan races. You know, I ride a road bike a lot. So, you know.
How long have you been doing that? How long have you been teaching?
In Utah ever since I've been here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your business is where?
33rd South, 900 East.
33rd South, 900 East. It's called
Cross Training Fitness.
Cross Training, and tell us the little name there. You know, because that's a good cross training, right?
Yes. John Cross.
John Cross's last name, just like BEAU'D Not Broken. You know, it's cross training kind of a thing.
I was born to do it.
That's awesome. Right. Tell us one or two little stories about people that, you know, you've really transformed. I try and tell people when I talk about the fitness world, you know, I tell them, you know, find people like you, find people that have been through things, that understand things, that understand. It's really important. What goes in your mouth is the majority of what happens to you. You know, you unless you have a metabolism that you know runs 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But
I had a client. Her name's Julie Baum. Julie, if you're out there, you know you're amazing.
All right.
She came to me. I met her. She was 290 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
She said she was, you know, addicted to food. And I told her if she did everything that, you know, I asked of her, I would get her to the promised land. Right. It might be a long time, but we'll get there. Right. She has lost 130 pounds.
That's awesome.
Took us 2 years. 2 years.
Well, that's a healthy time. It shouldn't take 6 months.
And she's 6 feet tall, so I mean she's at
tall lady.
She's at her natural weight, you know, for a 6 foot tall woman. Right. She looks amazing. You know, she overcame a lot of obstacles that she's never ever achieved in her life. You know, like being able to run a mile. Right. Now she can run 5. Right. You know, I mean, so.
Definitely BEAU'D Not Broken, because she has faith in you and faith in herself. Right. And the courage to. It takes a lot. I mean, let's talk about that for just a second. It takes a lot of courage for somebody to go, I need some help. Yeah. I mean, it really takes people that first step or that first call or that ability to walk in the door and go, I need some help. You know, don't judge me kind of a thing.
Right. You know, and people are so hard on themselves. Yeah. You know, and sometimes, you know, even guys who come in the door, you know, they have to find that humility because they're like, you know, oh, I can do this. Right. They just want to go over to the bench press. Yeah. You know? Skip legs. Yeah, no legs, just bench press. Yeah, it's funny.
Any other good, you know, interesting stories?
You know, and I've been really blessed. I feel like, you know, like I've had athletes come up to me, professional athletes, when I worked in, you know, some corporate gyms, and they just said, hey, man, you're amazing at what you do. And I just look at it as, you know what, that's a great compliment. Sure. But, you know, them giving me the opportunity to train them. Sure. You know, I can't even, you know, like, you know, just leaves me just, you know, so grateful. Right. You know, says a lot for how much, you know, when I look at how much my passion I have for what I do, you know, like my son, he's an athlete, he's a fighter, he teaches yoga, you know, like I'm blessed to be able to, you know, like show him how to, you know, stay in shape. You know, I didn't have that person for myself when I was growing up. Right. You know, I didn't have that role model that said, hey, here, go do this.
There's a lot of people out there that are struggling. And we've had a couple people that have struggled with their weight, and they've told us how they've gotten through it, you know, and their fitness levels and things like that. This is a loaded question, but is there any magic pill out there that somebody could take?
Nope.
Is there anything they can put on their skin or rub into their head?
Nope.
Or, okay. It's kind of a public service message here. You got a guy here that's been around for a while, and another guy that's been around for a while, and there is nothing out there that is magical, right?
No.
What does it take to be fit? It takes hard work, discipline, and motivation, and a plan, right? To really get something. So for all of you out there that might be looking at programs or paying a lot of money to a program or a diet or something like that, that's not something that's going to be successful, is it?
No. It's not the way to
And
go.
I'm not paying John to say those kinds of things.
No.
It's real. I really was excited when he wanted to come on, because I know the integrity and how he's done it with people. It's you actually have to be in people's face sometimes just to tell them,
that's the type of person I am. Yeah.
you can't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people? I mean, if there's people out there looking in the Salt Lake area, I always tell people, look for someone like you that can motivate them. They'd be better off paying the money to have you and motivate you than to pay the money hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. If they need hormones, then for their body to balance out, then great. But other than that, what do you tell people when you try and sell them a trainer or a personal trainer, a fitness coach?
I don't believe in selling people. I believe in giving them a free test drive. Mm-hmm. Hey, come do a workout.
Right.
See if you like what I do.
Right.
See if what I do works for you. See if you like me. Then after that, basically it sells itself.
Right.
And then, I tell everybody out there, if you can't afford a trainer, at least come up with the money to do some training so you learn proper form. Because form is everything. You don't want to get hurt.
And so you train people. Tell us about all the different disciplines that, you mentioned yoga. Yoga is something I think is a great complement to a lot of things. But what's your, what do you, I guess another loaded question, what do you do it all probably?
Yeah, I focus on whatever the client's needs are. I tailor it to their lifestyle. I tailor it to, their goals as far as do they want to get stronger? Do they want to lose weight? Or they just want to be more fit? I mean, everybody's different. And everybody has a different body. And
everybody out there hopefully is listening, because, you probably get a lot of people go, well, I'm not an athlete. I'm not, I can't do those kinds of things, or I can't.
And sometimes people are a little scared because they think, especially if they see you, or, someone has referred them to you and said, hey, this guy, he's so tough, he's so hard. And they get in their head and think, I can't do it. They start sabotaging before they even walk in the door, knowing that what you do and what I do, it's like building a house. One brick at a time, one day at a time, nice and slow from the beginning. And we tailor it exactly to what they need, not what we want.
Exactly, because everybody's different in that sense.
For sure.
How do you motivate someone that might be out there to take a look at something like that? How do you motivate them to, what's your main core reason why you enjoy doing what you're doing and you want to pass that message on and those skills on to other people?
Well, the thing that I try to convey to, my clients or my people or anybody out there is do something, get off the couch, just move, start walking. The worst thing you can do is just sit around all day, or people that have a sit-down job, get up. I'm sure you have a fitness facility. Go walk on the treadmill. Go outside. Move your body, because you really only have one shot at this. Why not make the best of it, you know? And, if you need some help, reach out to someone like Beau or myself,
Right.
Because we're here to motivate, right?
Tell, this was a kind of a show about addiction as well. What does alcohol do to the body, excessive amounts of alcohol to the body, to maybe somebody that's trying to work out or an athlete or, a young person, the reality of what alcohol and drugs do to a body.
Well, it destroys it from the inside out. And that's the thing, is people don't see what they're doing. Sometimes they feel it, right? Oh, I got a hangover. Oh, I feel like shit today. Mm-hmm. They'll skip gym day, right? Or they'll skip work.
Right.
And obviously, excessive drinking shrinks the brain. We all know what that does.
Right.
Muscles too. Atrophy of the muscles, right? Cirrhosis of the liver, what my dad passed away.
Right.
You know, big damage. You know, it's not worth it at the end of the day.
Heroes.
Yep.
Who's your heroes? Who are your heroes? I ask all my heroes. You got a couple of heroes or one big hero, maybe growing up or now, and then, you know, you mentioned your mom, obviously, with that situation, and that's great too. And then maybe a favorite movie that kind of tells something about you and who you are.
I would have to say Superman.
Superman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been told that myself before. That I actually had a coach once. She told me, she's like, "You're like Superman. You know, you can do it all." You know, but my heroes are, you know, right now, my son. He inspires me to be a better person, a better dad. He's a great son. You know.
Isn't it amazing how younger folks can? They're so much better than we are.
Well,
sometimes.
You know, like if they listen to, you know, their parents and learn, you know, learn from our bad choices,
right?
Because everything's a choice. Everything.
Any sayings, any things that comes to mind, kind of a saying for life or a saying for what you do as a, you know, an occupation?
I always tell people, if you want it, go get it. Right?
Right. Yeah, nobody's going to bring it to you.
Yeah,
right?
You have to work for it. Go get it. You want it, go get it.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you coming.
It's amazing.
Great guest. Thank you very much. Tell everybody about, you know, if you're in the Salt Lake County area, the gym's where and what's it named?
33rd South, 900 East, Cross Training Fitness on Facebook, or just look it up on Google. And your
Facebook page is
JC CrossFit.
JC CrossFit. You're on LinkedIn. You're on a lot of different things. These are the type of people that give that personal training world a boost, because there's a lot of bad ones out there, and it's unfortunate they hurt people.
Yeah.
And so look for someone like John and his gym and the things that he does, and probably the people he employs. I know he employs people, and he doesn't want goofballs. And then also his story about addiction and growing up that way, quite a motivation for all of us, and a motivation as parents to help our children. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you go to the website, BEAU'D.com, all the Facebook pages. Remember, this is all about the Bend. We bring it to you Monday through Friday every week. We have regular people talk about their regular challenges and how they regularly got out of it with faith and courage and endurance, and the ability to also tap into other people's expertise or advice. This show is about people like John. It's about people like we had on, you know, today or this week. I'm sorry. We've had some great people on. We hope to have some more shows next week. They're filling up. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks again, John, for being here. Remember, have a great BEAU'D Friday. Remember, wear that underneath or on top. You're all super. Yeah, or a Nike. You're all superheroes. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. It's all about the Bend. And there we go.